an introvert and as a woman, what inner barriers did you have to wrestle with, dance with, overcome on your journey, both in corporate and as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest ones was just balancing everything. When you
Mm,
have it was easier for sure before I had kids, and I went through the entire process of having both of my kids while I worked in a corporate environment.
mm,
And it wasn't just me, it was kind of the messages I got from everyone around me, like, you're not going to be able to do all of these things because now you have
mm.
kids and you're going to have to leave early, so I'm not going to pick you for these assignments.
Yikes.
And 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 then you start thinking that yourself, if maybe you've been thinking that already, but the message that you get is that you're not as worthy, which I found really was very devastating because I did very well at my job. And I was just, once I started having kids, and I've heard this story from so many women,
Mm.
that you're either put on, the mommy track, or you're demoted, or something happens where you're not considered as important anymore. Even though the new dads are leaving at the same time and doing many of the same things, because you're a mom, it's a little bit different. So that I found that was very frustrating.
It is so deeply damaging, and so many
Yeah.
brilliant women,
Hmm.
they either buy into that narrative and
Hmm.
decide, well, I guess that's it. I'm a mom now, so I can't have both. I can't have
Right.
it all. It's a myth.
Hmm.
Or they try so hard to prove that they're superwoman, and they take their
Right.
kids to work and they strap them to the, which is
Hmm.
not, I mean, I'm not judging
Yeah.
any scenario here, but I'm pointing out how this damaging narrative really makes us contort ourselves and into it, and make choices that are not really organic necessarily to
Hmm.
us, not necessarily authentic.
Yeah, I mean that was a really big thing for me. And the other thing was that it really, and I'm trying to think of an example where this wasn't the case, but it was, I would say, 99% male leadership. And I feel like that's just an imbalance. And I think men are wonderful and they have very amazing strengths, but to have a completely male-run, company, or a company where there's few women who have a voice, really just changes the dynamic of everything. And I found that very frustrating too. I felt like a lot of, I was pumping breast milk in a tiny storage closet. And I
Mm,
don't think that would have, where there was dust everywhere, there was computer equipment, and I don't think that would have happened if the CEO was a woman. I know
yes.
that I would never have put someone in that position. And that is when I really started to say, like, this is just crazy. And I'm
Mm,
not, and I had a very big struggle because I knew I wanted to leave, but I thought I didn't want to give up. But then I changed my mind. I said, you know what? I'm just not going to take this anymore.
good
This
for
is
you.
not okay. And so I thought I can leave because this is just not acceptable, and I'm going to create a company where this is not the case.
Oh, good for
Uh,
you. And
yeah, so that was really tough.
this takes a lot of discernment, which is the sixth
Hmm.
chakra also.
Hmm.
Is
Oh, plenty.
intuitive discernment,
Hmm.
recognizing when it's your battle to fight and when it's your time to go and build your own
Right.
company, right?
Hmm.
And your story really reminded me. Well, first of all, it brought me back to when I was at work pumping. I was fortunate to have an office. I am just remembering, like,
Although it's never fun. Even if you have an office, it's still.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my coworker is still looking at me funny because I was breastfeeding for a long time, and this machine going
Right?
like twice a day. I think even from, although all my coworkers at the time were female, but I felt this kind of funny attitude toward that as well.
Mm.
Guess, well, why is she taking time to pump, and like,
Right.
something like, it's not just men, but it does take a lot of awareness and bringing up those issues. It reminds me of Sheryl Sandberg's book Lean In, and how, where she tells the story of how when she was very, very pregnant, it was the first time she realized the need for maternity parking by the
Mm.
entrance to the
Right.
building,
Yeah.
and she marched to the decision makers. She was in a position to do that, and it was implemented. And she was disappointed in herself because that had never occurred to her before she was
Right.
pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very brave and honest to admit. And the more we talk about these things, the more we can really make empowered choices that are good for men and women
Hmm.
and
Yeah, I
kids.
agree.
So when you created your company, how did you come up with the whole concept? How did you come up with the vision of what you wanted for it to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was doing a lot of work. So I think about a year before I had gotten fired from these two jobs, I started just doing a lot of work on myself. I started working with a coach. I started reading a ton of books. I started to think about what kind of business did I want to do and what was I really passionate about.
Mm.
And it was very interesting because when I first started that journey of trying to look at myself and what I did well, I didn't see sales. It didn't, I always
Hmm.
thought sales is what I do for money and I have to do, and I'm very passionate about cooking. And so I thought, like, I love cooking, I love, reading, and like these were all things I was like, I'm not sure, because I had had a food company, and it's very hard to make money with a food company.
Mm.
Um, and so it took me a very long time to get to the place where, because I was so burned out and I was so discouraged by all of these experiences and these sales jobs I had, I didn't even see sales as being a part of it. And it was actually two women, which is so rare that I had even the opportunity to work with them, but two women who were senior to me, who at different times over about a period of a month said, just really complimented me and said, "What, like you're really, really good at what you do. Like you are
Wow.
exceptional," and just gave me these overwhelming
Wow.
compliments out of the blue. And I was like, and at that time I was listening because it was great timing that when they said that
You were
because
open and
right,
receptive, open mind,
exactly.
open heart.
And it was perfect timing that they had
Yeah.
both said it like within a few weeks of each other.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, interesting. And I realized that I had kind of blocked myself off and I had put sales aside saying, like, I don't do that. And I thought, like, I actually do love selling. I do love that part of it. And I'm actually really, really good at that.
Good for
Like,
you.
and I thought, like, you know what? There's so many other people. And my son had started elementary school too. And I had met all these moms who were starting different businesses who, they had very big blocks around sales and they were doing really cool stuff where I was like, oh, I should help you with that. Like,
Yes.
let's talk about that. I can help you. And so I thought, like, this is a business. And I just started, it was funny, I started my business or the concept of my business talking about it on Periscope,
Huh.
which, yeah, is a live streaming. I don't even know if it's that popular anymore.
I think
It
Facebook
was
Live is
right. Facebook
taking
Live is kind
over.
of
Yeah.
taken over, but and so I started talking about it because I said, I don't know if this is a real business. I don't know if I have enough to say. And once I started talking about it, I was like, whoa, there's like so much here.
And this is
So
a
yeah,
great takeaway. Test it, right?
right,
Test
yeah,
your idea, talk to people.
and I didn't even know if I would enjoy it either. I was like, what if I don't like talking about sales because it's going to bring me back to all of these bad experiences? And I was so energized, and I
Mm.
loved the questions people were asking me, and I was hearing the same types of questions again and again. And I was like, okay, this is like a real business for sure. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I was really excited about it. So that's kind of how it started.